Mr. Floor, what is going on with squeaky floors, with spongy squeaky floors?
David, you sort of mentioned it at the beginning of the show where, we're now entering the hot and humid weather and the floors are now expanding. So everybody that was complaining about gaps in their floors over the winter that develop because relative humidity comes down, the heat is pumping into the home, everything dries out, the floors actually start to physically get smaller, they shrink and gaps develop. So in the summertime, the exact opposite effect goes on where everything starts to expand. Now, we have certain clients, David, that absolutely refuse to run their air conditioning because they don't mind it to be 85, 90 degrees.
Were they from Honduras? I mean,
wherever they may be from, they just, they like it.
Yeah,
they don't want to do it. The problem is, we can only do so much on the flooring side of things to prevent that floor from continuing to expand. And we've used this term before on the program, hygroscopic, right? What does that mean? So a floor is hygroscopic. It means even though it's not a living tree anymore, on a cellular level, that floor will still expand and contract. It'll still absorb moisture and it'll release moisture. So when a homeowner refuses to run their air conditioning and dehumidify their home, what happens is that floor continues to get bigger, continues to swell as it looks for equilibrium, as it's pulling that moisture out of the air and continues to expand. When we install a wood floor, David, we always leave an expansion joint, right? It's basically a gap, for lack of a better description, along the perimeter of walls, cabinets. We're not coming into contact with any structure when we install that floor. And the thought process there is that we're allowing the floor room to expand. Well, when you don't run your air conditioning and you don't dehumidify correctly, that floor will actually exceed the allowed expansion gap and actually come into contact with the walls and start to push up on those walls. Once it does that, it actually comes back to the center in the form of a physical lifting of the floor in some cases, where when you walk on it, it almost feels like you're on a trampoline.
Can you fix it, or is it a permanent damage?
So the way to fix it is to change the environment. You have to start dehumidifying. So for clients that are listening out there, if you like to keep your windows open, and it's perfectly fine if you want it to be 85, 90, 95 degrees in your home. It's not so much the temperature, it's the humidity. You then have to run a dehumidifier in order to bring that humidity down under 50%.
Wow.
So 50% or higher, you should expect, basically expansion of that floor. And once that floor expands beyond the expansion gap that is left around the perimeter, then that floor will begin to come into contact with the walls, and then it'll begin to physically lift in certain areas. And that's what some of our clients are experiencing, especially with floors that are installed in a floating manner. So a floating floor is a floor that is connected tongue and groove between individual boards, but then the whole unit lays down as a single piece once all of those boards are connected. Those floors are even more susceptible to that sort of trampolining effect, that vertical deflection, if you don't maintain that proper humidity in your home.
Quick question before the break.
Now, as a homeowner, is this something you could come in and assess for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So we get a lot of calls here where clients are saying, there's something wrong with the floor. I'm not sure what it is.
Right.
And in many cases, it's environmental.
Wow.